Hello and welcome to Life Hacks with Liv. I'm Olivia, and on this channel I share adulting life hacks in the areas of health, wealth, and happiness. If that's something that interests you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. In this video, I'm going to talk about everything that you need to know when it comes to moving to a new city or state. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So there's multiple reasons that you would move to a different city or state. I personally have moved to 3 different cities in 3 different states in the past 4 years. The first time I moved from Charleston, South Carolina to Panama City, Florida, because my husband is in the Air Force and he was stationed at Tyndall Air Force Base. We lived there for 3 years. We evacuated from Hurricane Michael last October, and we moved to Atlanta temporarily while we evacuated. And then after we finally found out where we were going to go, we were stationed to Scott Air Force Base in the Metro St. Louis area. So the Illinois side of St. Louis, just to make it simple for you. Okay, first, I want to start off by saying congratulations on your new move. That is awesome. And you have the opportunity now to really have a clean slate and create the life that you really want. But there is some work that you need to do in order to prepare to do that. So the first things are the prep. In preparation to move, you need to find out the cost of living for the area that you're moving to. If you're not blessed to be moving for a job, you need to find a job and source of income or figure out what you're going to be doing to make money while you're there. You need to find out where you're going to live. Looking up the demographics of the location is also very important. And just a pro tip for research, I would always look to be closer to a Chick-fil-A than a Checkers. When I decided to buy my house, there's Chick-fil-A down the street, and it doesn't really go to say I eat fast food, because I really don't eat that much. I've eaten that Chick-fil-A twice since I've lived here, but it shows the type of area that you're going to live in without having to guess as much, especially when you know absolutely nothing. I also suggest looking for the best school districts. And if you cannot afford the best school districts, look for the next best school districts, or be in an area that's close to the best school districts, especially if you're buying a house. When you're buying a house, you want your property value to go up, and the better houses are in the best school districts. You also want to be in a safe area. So even if you're not buying a house, your safety should be a huge concern for you. And being in an area that has sidewalks is also something that I've learned that is super important, because a lot of older developments don't have sidewalks. And if you like to be active and outside, that's kind of annoying to not have a sidewalk when you want to go run or walk your dog. I also suggest looking up the local taxes. Whenever my husband and I moved here, we had no idea that the property taxes were so high. And because we were oh, the cost of living's so low, the houses are super cheap. There's a catch. Our taxes are stupid high in Illinois. So that's something that you should know. Also, I came from a state that had no state tax. Florida has no state tax. So going to a state that does have state tax, and the percentage of state tax here, I think, is 5%. So that's also something to take into consideration, because that's money off the top that you're not going to get if you're coming from a state that did not have state taxes. So it's definitely something to consider. I also suggest learning about the history of the location you're going to, learning the political climate, learning if there is any natural disasters that come to your area. And more than likely, there are natural disasters that go to your area. So for instance, here in the Midwest, there's just tornadoes. I know in Arizona, there's sandstorms. And of course, anywhere on a coast, there's hurricanes. And then, California's got wildfires and earthquakes. And, so just take those things into consideration And also think about if you're coming from the South where you have like 11 months of summer and like 3 weeks of winter and like a week of like, you don't know what it is, but it's like, okay, then the chances of you actually having the winter clothes that you need if you're moving up north are like slim to none. So think about that as well. I also suggest looking at a map and looking like how far you are from local attractions and doing some research beforehand and finding out what you like, what groups and things that you can get into, like the interest that you have in your current life, if you can do some of those things somewhere else. And or what is something that you want to do in your new location that you've never gotten an opportunity to do before. This is the opportunity that you have to actually like create your life around that. And I think that's like pretty cool. So definitely prepare yourself and there's never too much research that you can do because you're still going to learn so much more once you get to the new place. But having some idea is extremely helpful. So the next most important thing is your move and budgeting for your move in the first 45 days of being in your new location. Now, the move itself can either be expensive or very expensive. There is not really a cheap moving option as an adult unless you're a minimalist and just can pick up and go. But if you are like the majority of Americans and have more than a carload worth of stuff, then it's going to be expensive. You need to take into account the time of year that you're moving as well, because you might need different things than you would need if you weren't. Like if you're moving to the north in the wintertime and you're coming from the south, you need some shovels to shovel snow. And you need some winter coats that you might not have. So that's something to take into consideration. You also, if you have a place to move into, you need to budget for getting your utilities, first month's rent, everything, all of that taken care of right away. I also highly suggest getting all of your new license, your tags, all of that stuff updated in the first 45 days. And different states have different prices, so I'll look into that ahead of time and budget for that as well. And if you would like for me to do a separate video on just how to budget to move, please let me know in the comments below. I also suggest updating your mailing address in the first 45 days of moving to your new location when you have somewhere to live. Now, if you're living in an Airbnb, obviously this does not apply to you, but if you have a house that you're moving into, then you really need to update your mailing address and also update your car insurance as soon as you move to a new state and get your tags and everything set up. Like I said before, it's about some states, it's like 45 days that you have to pay to change over your tags, and you don't want to be caught in a sticky situation. Just save yourself the stress and prepare for those things that you might not have even thought about. But yeah, definitely the budget for the move is very important, and your move can either go really good or really bad. Either way, you're going to be fine at the end. Like, you'll get through it, but to make it a lot less stressful, definitely budget for the move. I can't stress that enough. Finding a job. Now, if you move to a city and you don't have a job, it's okay. You can find a temporary form of employment until you find your career thing. You don't have to necessarily wait to do that. If you have worked in the service industry, if you've worked in retail, if you've worked with the public, you can take a job that doesn't necessarily pay your salary, your goal salary, but you can take another job and still make enough money to live off of and support yourself in the time being while you're looking for your job. Now, while you're looking for a job in a new city, I highly recommend working with an employment agency that works with reputable companies that will actually place you in either a temp to permanent or a permanent position if that's something you're working with. And also just gets your name out there, and it helps you get to learn the community a lot better. And for instance, when I moved here, I transferred in through the company that I was working with. So I had a job, but then the location that I started at, it was not a good fit for me. So then I went somewhere else. And then it was a really negative work environment, and that was something that was really important to me not to have. So then I found something else. And then my employment agency called me and they were like, "Hey, we have this job for you. Go ahead and apply." And I went in for my interview and I got hired on the spot for my temp to permanent position. And I still kept serving, but I found a serving job that was closer, and it actually happened to be fine dining, and it just ended up being perfect. And both of my work environments are very positive, but all of those things took so much time. So please remember to be patient. It took me about like 6 months to really find the jobs that I'm happy with now currently and am able to really grow in. So this is something that if you're going in without a job, it's going to take a little bit longer, but just be patient and don't settle for less than what you really deserve. If you would like for me to do another video just on how to find a job in a new city, please let me know in the comments below, because I would love to talk more in depth about this topic as well. Last but not least, and honestly, one of the most important things, especially for people that are like me, that are extroverts, is finding a sense of community and finding friends. And it's really hard. Friendships take a lot of time, and figuring out what the right place is for you also takes some time. So definitely be patient. You're going to go through some really hard times when you move to a new city and you know absolutely no one, or a new state and you're not close to family. So make sure you're keeping in contact with your old friends and your family, so you don't feel completely alone, because there are going to be those times that you feel completely alone, even if you have a spouse. But you still, like, if you're a girl, you're still going to want your girls. And like guys, it's really hard for guys to like make friends and actually have people that they actually want to hang out with if they're like extroverts. So I encourage, if you're into sports, joining a local adult sports team. That's a great way to meet like-minded people. Joining a church. I joined a church and actually got baptized this past September, and it's been such a life-changing experience for me, and it's a really good sense of community for me. And but find whatever you keep in mind, what you want your life to look like, and keep in mind the type of people that you want to surround yourself around. Don't just make friends with people just because they're around, because that doesn't necessarily mean that they're for you. You take your time and be very specific in the type of people that you would like to have in your life, because you actually have the opportunity. You're in control of all of that. You are going to learn patience, because in the beginning, you're going to be super, super excited to move, and you should be. And then there's going to be setbacks. There's going to be things like, especially if you don't have a fully furnished place, like, give it time. Like, don't think that you have to have everything right then, right now. You will be okay as if you have the essentials and piece things together over time, if that's the situation you're in, if you didn't move with everything. And there are going to be things that come up. So there's definitely positives and negatives to moving to a new state, but overall, how you create the life that you live really makes it positive or negative. Thank you so much for watching Life Hacks with Liv. I really hope that you found this video informational and informative and helpful in some way. If you did, please comment your favorite tip that I gave. If you'd like to see more content like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and notification bell. I will be posting new videos every Thursday. So thanks again for watching Life Hacks with Liv. May you have health, wealth, and happiness.